Welcome back. The last couple videos we've been talking about dealing with discouragement. We've been talking about developing sensitivity automatically and how to deal with that. And I want to talk about something which is very parallel to all of this, and that is the story of the tragic artist. All of this meditation, all of this becoming still, this self-reflection, this getting to know our own subconscious, it allows us to do something that most people can't always do so easily, and that is begin to access really, really profound inspiration from the superconscious mind. And so your creativity, your ability to be inspired in your life will shoot up dramatically over time because of your meditative efforts. It can happen fast, it can happen slow. It all depends how much you were already using or how your brain was made. Everybody comes with a slightly different brain, so we're all blessed with a different degree of everything. Everything is different proportions inside everybody's brain, and so it's easier for some people to get access, and it's harder for others. And so for those of us who have a harder time gaining access, yay, there's a solution. Welcome to yoga. That's what it's all about. And so all of this inspiration will begin to open up to you. And for the artist, they have found their way into that, one way or another. And that's how they get so inspired and they draw something down. If you're a writer, you know about this, right? There's a certain point, you're writing the story, and all of a sudden, the story takes over. And now the difference between a mediocre writer and a great writer is the great writer will recognize that moment and he will allow it to play out. He might come back later. He might adjust things to make it more coherent, make things go in line, make things make sense, but yet he knows to let go of the wheel of control when that voice of the story itself starts to speak to him. And this is the gamma brainwave. This is the superconscious mind which is flowing through the artist. But there's something that happens. The artist goes way up, touches profound inspiration, and then he comes back to Earth and he can't deal with it. Because Earth, this place, is not so inspired as the heaven which he or she is occasionally touching. And so it's a humongous letdown. And this is part of what leads to the story of the tragic artist. So let's get into that. Let's talk about that a little bit and how you and I can avoid becoming the tragic artist. So let's get into it. So that's really it. That is what is happening to the tragic artists. They're going up one way or another and they're tasting heaven. Oh my God, I heard a story about one pop artist and his manager said, you don't know the real artist. He would hear just a little snippet of music and he would start, oh my God, he would go into shudders. He would start going into ecstasy. And so what's that mean? In his own way, he was feeling that inspiration of the little piece of music so profoundly that it was shuddering through his body. Now the yogis, we go back to the dorsal vagal, we get closer to something holy rather than something so sensuous. But again, he is touching inspiration. But in his life, oh my God, it was a mess. And that's the tragedy, right? He's going way up, touching inspiration, coming back to earth. I haven't cleaned anything. This place looks horrible. And so now you can kind of see, oh my God, the Kriya Yoga call to clean is so important. My guru Ashokji, he told me, I swear it was 1,000,000 times, clean it out, just get right in there and clean it out, just clean it right out. So in Kriya Yoga, the Om Japa and the cleaning mechanism of Om Japa is so important. The Navi is so important. The Navi Kriya, getting rid of that fear, is so important. We don't want to turn into the tragic artist. We want to be a little bit clean. Doesn't have to be perfect. There's no perfection here. Perfection is a fool's errand. We're not talking about that. But we want to be slightly cleaned up so that when we go up and we touch heaven in the deep brain, when we get purely inspired, we bring it back with us and we disperse that energy in our lives, and we see little hints of heaven in our day. We've cleaned ourselves up enough. We've cleaned up the scales off of our eyes enough that we can see the hint of love in the mother. We can see the hint of heaven in the smile of the baby. We can see the parent of us all in the reflection. I just saw these elephants. There was an earthquake in San Diego, and these parental elephants ran and made a circle around their young. And when you've touched inspiration, you see something like that, and it just hits you so hard. You're like, oh my God, how glorious, how beautiful, how parental, how caring. I will stand in the way and protect you. How glorious. Down to the animal kingdom. And if I can see it in the animal kingdom, I ought to be able to see it more in humans. And you might say, oh no, humans are horrible. Yes, but if your eyes, if you've pulled the scales away from your eyes, you're going to see something glorious as well. And if you're not, you haven't finished cleaning, okay? There's more cleaning to be done. And hey, I was there. I have done tons of cleaning. I've done so much cleaning. And that was really the call of my Ashokji. That was really his call. That was the thing that he said to me more than anything. Clean it out, clean it out, clean it out. Because if you want to ascend into the deep brain, you want to get everything out of the way. And the thing that he taught me, which is a word that nobody else uses, and nobody really brings up this point of polarity. Okay, if I go up and I have this glorious meditation and I come back down and I'm walking around my day and I'm so peaceful, and then somebody says something to me, hits me the wrong way, and I blow up on that person, and I watch myself blowing up and I go, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Well, I didn't clean it out. So that heavenly energy came back down with me, and it came to that lower issue I had not cleaned out. This massive amount of heavenly, it's a higher order. It hits that issue, and it blows up like never before. That is polarity. Ashokji brought this up to me over and over, and it's an issue I've never heard anybody else addressed so succinctly, so with his own words. Polarity. Amazing, right? I have a video on this. And so the tragic artist is caught in this never-ending polarity loop. I go way up. I've got to, because I'm the artist and I have to produce the next music, the next video, the next book, the next yada, yada, yada. I got to produce that. And then I bring it back down, and I'm back down in the mud, and I have not finished cleaning up my own issues, right? And then I go up, and then I come back, crash back. I go up, I crash back down. I go up, I crash back down. You don't want that. That's why the Om Japa, that's why the Navi, and this is why I talk about the 3 insurance policies of Kriya Yoga. That's my funny way of saying, look, we're going to do these. This is our insurance that we stay on the right track. I think other people want to tell you meditation, the spiritual life, it's a bed of roses and there's no downfall anywhere. Well, that was not the case for me. I think I found every blind alley. And so I want to share with you the right alleys. And the 3 insurance policies, they will set you right. It's so wonderful. So I hope you'll take advantage of those 3 insurance policies. I hope they do well to set you right in your life, in your meditations. And I hope that this gives you a more clear view of how inspiration works and how it can go badly with the story of the tragic artist. So I hope you love this. If you did, be sure to hit that bell down below so I can see all of you next time.